Hey everyone, we've got a midterm to handle this week, and I wanted to give you some advice and tips on how to study for this exam and what to expect. So, we've got two parts of the midterm. We've got a multiple choice section and an essay section. The multiple choice is typically in the 15 to 20 minute range. We're typically talking 10, 15, 20 questions. It's pretty small. And then the essay portion is a bit longer. I'm going to give you an hour to complete it. It's for some of you, it will take you the full hour. For some, it may take as little as 40 minutes. If you're probably putting less than 40, 35 minutes in, you might want to ask if you're getting all the information. I typically find that there is a correlation between the amount of time put into the exam and the grade. So I have put together a lot of study materials for you that will really help you and that you can use. So first of all, a few things about this. This exam is open book, open note, but you have to work alone. Moodle does not hide from me. It tells me a lot of information. It can tell me, IP addresses, it timestamps when you're starting exams and finishing them. And I have had situations where exams look too similar and they are started at the same location, they are started at similar or the same times, and it is very clear that people are not working alone, and that does not end very well for your grade. So I would I mandate that you work alone on this. Remember, this is a business law exam. This is the law. It's about law and ethics. So do the right thing here. It's very much in your favor not to try to work with anybody, and it's a pretty fair exam. So we're going to. I'm posting hours, but I usually leave the exam open most of the day. You can take both parts independently. You can take them back to back. Whatever is best for you. And I'll post the exact hours online. It's typically 6 a.m. or 8 a.m. till midnight. But again, check to find out what I have posted to make sure that nothing has changed on that. So you can have your, I've put lots of materials up. You can have the notes that I've given you. I have given you online the slides in a separate file, so you just have a PowerPoint of slides. You have access to past exams with sample answers. You have lots of materials here. So how would I use them? Well, with the multiple choice, what I would do to prepare is I would have the I would have I would go through your past multiple choice exams, and what I did, the quizzes that we took in class. What I did is I put all of those quizzes, all of those questions into one giant quiz bank that you can go through an unlimited number of times. I would go through those several times. The questions for the multiple choice section are going to be very similar, if not in some cases the absolute identical question, maybe just rewritten a little bit different with different facts. So I would know those questions and the why behind each of them cold, right? I mean, that is what you want to, that is going to be one of your best places for studying for the multiple choice. Then I would, just go through the PowerPoint slides that I'm giving you on Moodle, separate slides. I would go through those several times and make sure you know all the information on the slides and the information from the lectures that I've added to those slides and I've told you about. So all of this is really coming from the notes and the slides. There is going to be, so what topics are going to be on the multiple choice section, which ones aren't? Everything is going to be on the multiple choice except for negligence, because I'm doing negligence on the essay portion. So you will not see negligence questions on the multiple choice. You are going to see ethics questions about ethics theories. So look in your textbook for this, right? You've got a chapter on ethics that has information about the different types of theories of ethics, Kantian ethics, a justice theory of ethics, the utilitarian theory of ethics. These are the things you want to know because there are going to be multiple choice questions about those types of ethics theories and the application of them to situations. So that is generally the things you're going to want to know for the multiple choice. What I would do is I would have I would have my notes, I'd have those slides ready, I'd have my textbook, and I'd even tab, some of the sections, some of the chapters, and um, be able to just kind of flip through this material if you have questions. 'Cause you're not going to have, you have about 2 minutes a question or so, a minute 45 to 2 minutes per question. And so you're not going to be able to look everything up, but if you need to know and get the exact or verifying answer, you're going to have time to flip there if you can flip quickly. Now, when it comes to the essay, um, what I would do is I would look very, very, very closely at the essays that I put online. I gave you 2 or 3 sample essays of exam questions I've written in the past, and I gave you sample answers. Some of these sample answers are good answers. They were A answers. They are not perfect answers. Okay, they got some things wrong, and sometimes they're wrong in the definition or they're wrong in the application. Something. I mean, but it was a good answer at the time. So I would use it as a theoretical template in terms of how you should take this exam and how you want to answer. Because again, I'm looking for that issue, rule, analysis, conclusion. We're really emphasizing your ability to analyze a situation. Right or wrong, it doesn't matter. We're looking for analysis. Now, what's going to be on the essay? It is going to be primarily about negligence. Okay, that's the 90%, 80% of this essay is talking about negligence. Duty, breach, causation, damages, right? Knowing those 4 things and being able to IRAC each of those issues. The second portion, the remaining fifth of the exam, is going to be some a constitutional issue. Now, this has typically been free speech, where we're talking about, can the government take down speech, or an equal protection issue. Sometimes I have done the Commerce Clause, Commerce Power, but that's a lot harder to write an essay about, so it's typically equal protection or First Amendment free speech. So know those issues. Now, on these sample answers, I used to include in the first half of this class, I used to include intellectual property. I have now moved that to the second half, and we're going to get to that right after this midterm that's coming up next week. It is not on this exam. So you're going to see that in those essays. Disregard it and just focus on the constitutional issue and the negligence issue. So in terms of the quantity of material that goes into this midterm essay, it's gotten much smaller than it was on those past midterms. So if it were me, I would look at the sample essay question, right? The question, not the answer. I would take a look at it. And I would write out the exam yourself. Okay, go through it like you were taking this. It was the first exam you looked at. You haven't looked at the answer yet. You're just going through it, right? I would take a look at that, and then figure out what you come up with for your answer. Write it out. Then I would compare that to the sample answer and see, okay, how well did this work? Now, probably you're going to be off in some things, okay? So then I would take the two and I would write out my midterm essay like the midterm sample answer, okay? So you follow that format. And then I would take the second one the same way and compare. So you kind of get 2 chances to warm up here and get a rhythm, figure out how long it takes you. I would time it. Again, this is how I would study for it. You're doing this and you probably just put in 2 hours of studying here for this exam, and you're going to be maybe 3 hours, and that's going to get you the greatest, I think, bang for your buck in terms of time on studying for the midterm. The other thing I want to point you to is that I did an audio narration of the PowerPoint. Okay, this is very, very critical that you look at it because it's essentially a lecture in and of itself. I walk through every slide in the midterm materials, and I tell you what you need to know on that slide, what's important. So this is it's your study guide. I mean, it's succinct. We're walking through this slide by slide. I also spend a few slides going through how to do and how to analyze a midterm exam situation. So again, this is gold. I would take a look at the Moodle results, and there's a correlation of those who did not look at this file and the result on their midterm. It's not good. So if you look at that PowerPoint, you're going to be in really good shape. And personally, I would probably take a look at that PowerPoint before you go through the essay questions and take a look at those. So that's how I would prepare for this. Again, we are. Couple notes on the before I forget. A couple notes on the essay portion. There, like I said, there is not a wrong answer, but I'm giving, I'm writing questions that you could. It is up to you to decide if there is a duty of care or not. Okay, it is not the same question. You could say there is a duty of care. You could also say there is not a duty of care, and you could get full credit for that. There's not a right or wrong answer. Let's say you determine that there is not a duty of care. Okay, and again, everything I'm going to write in the essay question, there's going to be a good argument for either side. Let's say you determine that there's not a duty of care, and you just end your essay right there, right? Well, that's a wrong answer. Okay, you got to go. Even if you decide one of those things doesn't exist, you got to go through the entire process. So, even though I did not find that there was a duty of care, I'm going to look at whether there's a breach. Here's a breach, and so you're going through every step, even if you believe it doesn't exist, because I want to see that you know all the material and that you can work the entire question. So, okay. That's how I would approach this again. Remember, it is open book, open note. You can bring all these materials. You can even have those past exams next to you. You're not going to have a lot of time, so you're going to want to have this study. You're going to want to know what you want to have a plan. You're going to want to know how to write the stuff before you get into the exam. But you can have that stuff if you want to look something up. Again, sometimes they got the rules wrong in those past exams, or they got an analysis wrong, or we've added something since then. And so, use your good judgment on whether that is it's not a perfect answer, but whether you think it's correct or incorrect. So anyway, that's what I want you to know. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email. Otherwise, I hope everything goes well for you, and we will look forward to talking after the midterm.